This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When send past the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, rough night for the New York Knicks. They shoot terribly, folks, and take a loss to the Washington Wizards. And ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the teams that I hate losing to the most. I really do. I don't like losing to the Wizards. 1, because I live here. And 2, I just don't like losing to the Wizards. I don't know why. They're one of those. I don't like the name. I don't like their colors. I just don't like losing to the Wizards. It's nothing about, if they have good players or not. I just hate losing to this team. I thought with Bradley Beal coming back, it could be a tough game, though, for the Knicks. I really did because, they struggle with Kyle Kuzma, as you've seen in the last game. KP can give, KP is KP. He can shoot the ball a little bit. He can, when he's having a good night, he can do his thing. I just don't like. And it's one of those nights, too, where, it just felt like the Knicks were stuck in mud. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Well, not a couple of weeks ago, a couple of streams ago, a few times, that the Knicks, the way that their style of play and who they are, is going to lead them to have nights like tonight. Edwin, you're right. You said we were never into this game. Never. We never really got into the game. We never got comfortable. Just never got into the game. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those nights where they looked stuck in mud. That's what it looked like to me. The Wizards dominated. It felt like they dominated the glass. They won the rebounding battle 52-49, but it really felt like they dominated the glass to me. You know what I mean? Just felt like the Wizards dominated the glass. Poor shooting by the Knicks, just about across the board. You know what I mean? Just a bad game. And what I'm not liking about, this current stretch of basketball, and something that I kind of mentioned it in the game preview today. I don't want to see the Knicks win 5 straight, then lose 3 straight, then win 5 straight. I don't want to see that. I want to see the Knicks be able to stop the bleeding. They did it once. Well, let's backtrack. They won 8 straight, then they lost 5 straight. Then they came back and won like 3 or 4 straight. Then they lost 1 to the Milwaukee Bucks. Then they won 3 more games. That's what I want to see. You're going to lose basketball games. You're going to lose games. I want to see them be able to get right back in on the winning path. I don't want to see this turn into a streak. The scary thing is you play the Raptors again. And the Raptors are a tough team for the Knicks to deal with. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, talking about tonight, the Knicks just never got into it. They were in a funk for the most part in tonight's game. They lost 116-105. Again, 52 rebounds for the Wizards, 49 for the Knicks, 28 assists for the Washington Wizards. They were hitting shots all over the place, the Wizards were. The Knicks could not. Every time the Knicks looked as though they could start to make a run, the Wizards would hit a big shot, whether it be a 3, a drive to the basket. they would hit a big shot to cut off the Knicks' run. Right? The Knicks could never really they could never really pull in that snowball effect and get the ball moving. Not get the ball moving, but get it rolling in their direction. They could never build momentum in this game. You know, I see Josh saying, lack of ball movement and shot making, is the reason why they lost the game. But they've been playing like that for the last 20 games, and they've been winning games. You know what I mean? You can point to it now, and I know you've mentioned it before. This is the way that they've been playing basketball. I think tonight it was primarily the shots not falling. You know what I mean? You can point to 14 assists, and I'm not going to say they didn't play. They're not a team that's kind of ISO heavy, because they are. I understand that. They are ISO heavy. They haven't gotten a lot of assists. They haven't been a team. They're towards the bottom of the league in assists throughout the season. They've been winning that way. We can talk about ball movement. We can talk about, this is the way that they should play, or, this is the way that you want them to play. But maybe this team isn't built that way. And again, like I said to whoever it was earlier today, you got to play towards the way your team is built. Earlier in the season, when the Knicks were moving the ball, they were losing. So I'm not saying it's the wrong way to play. I'm just saying, is this how this team is built? I'll ask you that question. Is this team built to be the kind of team that moves the ball like the Golden State Warriors? Right? So you can point to that anytime you lose the game. You can point to ball movement if you want to. Bottom line, the Knicks didn't make shots. They shot 41.7% from the field. They shot 26.9% from the three-point line. You know what I mean? You can say they didn't make shots because they didn't move the ball. I won't argue with you. I mean, it could be. Or you can say they didn't make shots because they were off. Some people are going to say they didn't make shots because they were tired. I'm pretty sure we're going to, that argument is going to come up. You know what I mean? Just not a good game for the Knicks. Not a good game. And what turns out to be, when we entered this stretch of basketball, we looked and said, okay, they play the Raptors and the Wizards. Then they play the Raptors again, and then the Hawks. And, maybe they can go on a little bit of a run and create that separation. You know what I mean? It's not looking like that's going to happen. Now they got to try to rescue these last 4 games before they hit a tougher stretch, and they got to try to beat Toronto and then beat the Atlanta Hawks, and then, go into a tougher stretch of basketball. I don't know. 28 assists for the Wizards, 14 for the Knicks. Again, 44.2% from the field for the Washington Wizards, 41.7% for the Knicks. The Knicks, 26.9% from the three-point line, 38.1% for the Washington Wizards. The Wizards, 84% from the free throw line. The Knicks, 66.7% from the free throw line. The Knicks had 66 points in the paint. The Wizards, 44 points in the paint. Second chance points, the Knicks 28, the Wizards 22. Fast break points, the Knicks 4, and the Washington Wizards 9. Yeah. You know what I mean? Savvy, you can join the stream, man. I'll send you the link. Let's hope that the Knicks can come back. You know what I mean? And just going back to the ball movement thing, here's another thing. We're halfway through the season. This team is who it is in that regard, I think. I don't think you're all of a sudden going to see them be, this spectacular ball-moving team now. You know what I mean? I don't see that. You know, they haven't been that for the entire season. They're not going to be that now. You know what I mean? They're a team that they're not a team right now that you're going to see 1,000 guys, a bunch of guys cutting to the basket, backdoor cuts, slashes down the middle, down the lane, et cetera, et cetera. They're not that team. That's not, and you could say that's Tom Thibodeau if you want to. Fair enough. That's not how he designed this offense, I guess. And you can say, did Tom Thibodeau design the offense this way, or did he design it around the players that the Knicks have? Which one is it? I guess we don't know. But they're not that team. They're a team that is, let's either get the ball into the post, make the defense collapse, kick it back out to the perimeter. Let's have RJ penetrate down the left side, see if we can get him a layup at the basket or kick it out to the corner. Let's get Julius Randle in the mid post or the low post, create that double team. If not a double team, he's going to go ahead and score. That's basically who they are and what they do. You know what I mean? Jimmy Uncle said the problem is Tibbs supporting this ISO heavy play. I'll go back to the question: is it Tibbs who just says I just want to play ISO ball, or is it the caliber of player and the type of players that we have on the team? You know what I mean? Which one is it, I guess, is the question. And if we had another team, if we had another coach, do we have the players that would facilitate ball movement? I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not going to, every time they take a loss, I'm not going to blame it on ball movement. Every time they take a loss, because it's not always that. Sometimes it is going to be that. And the ball is going to get stuck. And it does get stuck, right? We've seen it plenty of times. And we have seen Julius Randle dribble the air out the ball. Emmanuel Quickly dribble the air out the ball. Jalen Brunson dribble the air out the ball. We've seen it. Knicks not the only team that's happened with, but we've seen it. You know what I mean? We've seen it. I'll just go back and say earlier in the season, and of course it was early in the season. But earlier in the season, the Knicks did try to move the ball more, right? They were towards the top of the league in assists at that point, for a short while. It wasn't really, I don't think it was equaling success. You know what I mean? I got into a debate with Josh about, I'm not sure if the Knicks are the type of team that can move the ball and play that type of high-octane offense and play defense at the same time. And I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm saying I don't know if the Knicks are the type of team that can do that consistently. I don't know if they can play a high-octane offense that is, ball movement, man movement, and play defense. I don't know if we have that caliber of players on the team. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if we do. And, when you're a coach, you got to play to the guys that you have. What I would like to, I don't know if I would. I guess what's interesting to say is, would another coach, if another coach had this team, would they play the same style? Or would that coach feel like the Knicks have the players to play another style? You know what I mean? And, that's, it's tough to say. It is tough to say. Either way, no style worked for the Knicks tonight. It did not work. All right, the Knicks were outplayed by the Washington Wizards, outshot by the Washington Wizards, out-rebounded by out everything by the Washington Wizards tonight. You know what I mean? Let me get to a phone call, then I'm going to read off the box score. Then we'll see if my man Savvy joins us in the show. Caller, you're live, man. Please tell me your name and where you're from.
Peace. My name is Kurt. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Peace.
What's going on, Kurt? Peace to you, my brother.
Everything good, man. I missed the game tonight because I'm at work, but I just wanted to tell you that, let you know that what are we still 6 or did we drop from losing this game?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I think Miami still might be playing. Right? Let me check. No, Miami, they beat the New Orleans Pelicans 124-98. So looking at the standings now, the Knicks are, well, the Miami Heat should be 25-21. Both the Knicks and the Heat should be 25-21. So I'm not exactly sure where it's going to fall. Right now, the Knicks have a better conference record. They still might be in that 6th spot. I guess we'll see when things update.
Okay, so I'm saying that's all that matters. As long as we keep the 6th spot, gradually move up. If we can't move up, just stay in the 6th. Don't go no lower than the 7th. Just go between the 6th and the 7th. I'm cool. You can get beat in the NBA on any given night. All these dudes get paid big bucks to play ball.
Mm-hmm.
These teams are great. Basketball, one player have a hot hand. That's all it takes. You could dominate a game. Just one player could dominate a game. You know what I'm saying? So,
you're right. You're right.
I used to play.
So far in 2 games, the Knicks have had a lot of trouble with Kyle Kuzma versus the Wizards.
He's a baller.
A lot of 27 points tonight for Kyle Kuzma. He had 40 in the previous game versus the Knicks, so he's averaging 30. Just about 34 points per game versus the Knicks, man. The Knicks have a lot of trouble with that kid. They don't have anybody to guard him.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we were home, right? Knicks was at the Garden.
We was at the Garden tonight, yeah.
It's strange how we're a bad home team. It's just so strange.
It's crazy, man. The Knicks at the Garden this year are 11-13. They're 14-8 on the road. That's crazy, right? And the question is, can the Knicks, because normally that would be reversed, right?
Right.
That would be reversed. You look at the Milwaukee Bucks, 18-5 at home, 11-11 on the road. Right? The Cavs in the 5th seed, 19-4 at home, 9-13 on the road. I guess the question is, if the Knicks never get it together at home, can they continue to play like that on the road?
I think they can.
I don't know what it is about, home court for this particular Knicks team. Obviously, back in the day with Ewing and everybody, they used to dominate at home. You know what I mean? Nowadays, the Knicks at home, well, this team, they struggle at home, and I don't know if it's because of the added pressure of playing at home. This year, the crowd has really been good. You know what I'm saying? They've really been out there to support the Knicks. It's only been a few times that they've been booed, and that's because they deserve to get booed, right? They wasn't playing hard or whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? But also, exactly. I guess, teams coming to the Garden, they want to play a little harder too, and the Knicks got to be up for that every single night. Because the Knicks teams want to, teams, players, whatever, they want to show out in the Garden. The Knicks got to be ready for that every night.
Yeah, they do, but they got to get it together at home. But like I said, they just got to maintain that 6th spot, and I'm cool. I know how it is, man. You can get beat at home, on the road. You know what I'm saying? In the NBA, these players are great. You know what I'm saying? I remember seeing an undrafted player, I forgot who it was, at West Fork Park years ago. Undrafted, didn't even make it to the NBA. He went overseas.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't miss a shot. Dude had like 60. He didn't even break a sweat. I'm like, wow.
I know.
Dude wasn't even good enough for the NBA, you know what I'm saying?
Right. It's a dude that plays in the men's league that I used to play in, and he dropped 75 in a game. And this is a game with 20, two 20-minute halves. He dropped 75.
Right.
He didn't touch the league. He's 6'6", about 6'6", 6'7". Yeah, these dudes is nice.
Real nice, like unreal nice.
Right.
So,
right. Nah,
it's gonna
I feel
happen.
you, man.
It's gonna happen. We do have to get it together at home, though.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We got to get it together at home, man. Hey, I appreciate your time, man. Appreciate your call. Appreciate your time. All right, be easy, my brother. Peace. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks with a losing record at home, a winning record on the road. They got to get it. My man is right. They got to get it together at home. They got it. They got to learn how to protect home court. You know what I'm saying? They got to protect home court. Jalen Brunson tonight, ladies and gentlemen, 32 points and 4 assists for Jalen Brunson. R.J. Barrett, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Emmanuel quickly provided a little bit of scoring punch off the bench, 18 points and 5 rebounds. But not much more off the bench, ladies and gentlemen. Isaiah Hartenstein with 4 points. Jericho Sims, he got some playing time because Mitchell Robinson went down in the first quarter. But Jericho Sims, 2 points, 4 rebounds. Miles McBride, 0 points. Obi Toppin played 14 minutes, 0 points, 5 rebounds for Obi Toppin tonight, though. That's what the bench did. We talked about the bench and that the bench needed to show up. And really it's only Emmanuel quickly that showed up. The Knicks, 24 points off the bench. They had 26 points off the bench in the previous game versus the Washington Wizards. Julius Randle, 14 points, 15 rebounds. Off night, Julius Randle off night. Shot 35% from the field. Did not make a three-pointer. Was 2 for 5 from the three-point line tonight for Julius Randle. Off night. Quentin Grimes, 14 points, 2 rebounds. Bottom line, though, the Knicks couldn't hit shots, man. The Knicks could not hit shots tonight, especially from 3. R.J. Barrett, 0 for 4 from the three-point line. Julius Randle, 0 for 5 from the three-point line. Quickly was 2 for 6. Grimes and Brunson were the only guys really knocking down threes tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get my man Savvy here in just a second. We get you a phone call, then I'll get Savvy in the building. I'll call you live, man. Tell me your name and where you're from.
Hey, Sam, you can hear me?
I can hear you, bro. Like, that's what telephones do. Like, that's what happens when you use a phone. Like, you can hear the other person on the other side.
That's what they're made for, okay.
That's what they're made for. Not just texting and getting on IG and Twitter and all that. They're actually, the primary purpose is to talk to one another. So, yes, I can hear you.
I'm glad you can hear me, Sam. Oh man, Sam. I'm kind of pissed because I hate. This Knicks team's a little frustrating because it feels like this is going to be the theme this season. Is that we go on winning streaks and then we go on losing streaks. It's just the effort tonight. Just to me wasn't there. It's dangerous, Sam, because I'm really scared about our starting five because they're playing a lot of minutes. Like you got some of these dudes playing back to back 40-minute games. Like I know these guys are unbelievable, but man, you gotta your human body can only take so much. The bench, this is just bad. So I thought I remember we talked during the summertime, and we all felt like our bench would be a crazy, man. I thought I'm serious, I thought we'll have a top 5 bench in the league.
Right.
I really believe that.
Right.
It's horrible, and it's affecting the starters, and these guys are gassed, and these guys, they can't keep doing this, and you got to make a trade. Like you have this, and if you want to make the playoffs, you got to make a trade during the All-Star break. You can't continue this because we're not going to be a 6 seed. We're going to be a playing team. Because now, because I've been listening, we'll probably be in Miami by percentage. You know what I mean?
Well,
and
we
then
should.
with
We
this stuff,
should. We should. I think have the same percentage once they calculate the win. Both teams should be 24 and 21. Then it's going to go to other tiebreak. I mean, both teams should be 25 and 21, and then it'll go to other tiebreakers. So actually, yeah, right now the Miami Heat are in the 6th spot. The Knicks are in the 7th spot.
So there we go. We're back in the playing. And Sim, it's tough because I remember we were going over the schedule and everything like that. And we sometimes I feel like we jinxed it. Is that we need to get these wins. These are the wins we have to do. We got to win. These are the teams we have to beat. These are below 500 teams, and we gotta win these games. If we want to stay at 6 seed, you have to win those games because now we're hoping for other teams to lose, and I hate that. I don't want to base all seeding off other teams. Like I said before, Sim, I wanted us to get to 30 wins before 30-something wins before the break. But this is a tough stretch of basketball we're about to face, and we need guys to step up. Like we need some guys to step up, and it's
Bro, there's nobody on that bench that can step up, in my opinion. There's nobody on the bench, in my opinion, that can step up. Deuce ain't stepping up. He ain't doing it. Hartenstein ain't stepping up and giving you buckets. Jericho Sims ain't stepping up and giving you buckets. Maybe Obi can do something, but right now, you know what I mean? He's still trying to find his rhythm out there. Nobody on that bench is stepping up.
And it's killing us, Sim. And so I got to say this about Obi, Sim. I'm tired of this, man. I'm tired of drafting these players. Like, I love Obi's energy, but man, it just hurts. It hurts your team and sets you back when you have an 8th overall pick, and he's not giving you at least 10 points. And it's killer, man. Especially when you see the players picked after him, it's rough. And I got a lot of love for Obi. I think he brings a lot of positive energy that we need on this team, but he got to step up, man. He has to because, before he got injured, man, I thought he was playing some great basketball. I thought he was, with the pace and everything and the fast breaks and the dunking and him hitting some good shots.
He was starting to play some good basketball. I mean, he played some good basketball, and then, he started to fade down a little bit, but there was a point in the season where he was playing some really good basketball. The problem was the Knicks weren't winning consistently during that time. That's part of the problem. But he was playing some good basketball at one point this season.
No, he was. But you know what's something that bothered me with Obi, man? He doesn't affect the game. And he doesn't affect the game in a sense of when he's on the when I mean affect the game, I'm talking about I feel like he doesn't swing us to go get wins.
But see, I think that's Obi. Who was it? I was speaking to somebody last night. It's Obi that Obi got to bring that fire. He doesn't bring that kind of fire. You know what I mean? Obi's got to bring some fire with him.
But see, that's the thing, though, Sam. It bothers me because, look, we don't have to talk about who we could have had after Obi, but man, he's just not bringing us no positivity on the court when it comes to his play.
Yeah,
it's like he's like celery.
Right. Early in the season,
and I hate.
Early in the season. You know what I mean? Well, the Knicks started off 3-1. They started the season 3-1. Obi had 2, 16, 10, 9. Right? And then, he went 11, 9, 12, 17. The Knicks took 3 losses. And then the Knicks kind of went win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1. And Obi was kind of up and down during that stretch. You know what I mean? After the Knicks lost to OKC, Obi's play really started to dwindle. And he was still getting minutes, right? So the Knicks played Utah. He got 18 minutes, 10 points. That's okay. That's okay in 18 minutes. They played Denver, 7 points in 23 minutes. Then he had 18 minutes. He had 1 point. 16 minutes versus Phoenix. He had 0 points. 17 minutes versus OKC. He had 5 points. And from here, his minutes began to dwindle. 14 minutes, he had 3 points. Then he had 14 minutes against Memphis. He had 9 points. Then he had 18 minutes, 13 minutes, 21 minutes, 12 minutes. But in this time, the production is 8, 7, 4, 5, 3.
That's
It's
not
tough,
good enough,
man.
man.
It's tough.
That's not good enough.
It's tough. You know what I mean? It's tough. He's got to have. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Sim, I know you got people to go, but I'll just say this, man. If the Knicks don't figure out this bench thing, man, people gonna be upset, Sim. I'm telling you, there's gonna be a lot more upset people. But we gotta figure out this bench thing. We gotta make a move. So
yeah, they got.
I appreciate you, Sim.
Yeah, I think so. We got to find that wing player on the bench that can, but that person has to be able to play defense. We can't go get another. 2 years ago, after the Knicks made the playoffs, the Knicks couldn't score. They were terrible at scoring. They could play defense, but they couldn't score. So what did they do? They went in the total opposite direction and brought in Kemba, brought in Evan Fournier. I don't want them to do the same thing. They can score better now, right? And the Knicks need scoring off the bench, but I don't want them to go out and get a player that's only going to score, not play defense, and then he ends up being another guy that you bench like Fournier and Cam, right? They got to bring in the right person that can play some defense. They don't got to be a star, but play some defense and score. Where do you find them?
Can I tell you who I honestly want? Can I tell you who I honestly want?
Who?
Kyle Kuzma fits the bill.
Yeah, I mean, he does. He does. You know what I'm saying? He can, he's a baller. No doubt about it. He's hooping. I mean, obviously, obviously we're going to feel we're going to feel like that because we just seen him drop 40 and then drop 27 on the Knicks. Washington still might feel like they have a chance.
Yeah, so here's the thing, too.
I'd like to see it. I wouldn't mind seeing them in New York. I wouldn't mind seeing them in New York, but they might still feel like they have a chance with Bradley Beal back. The Wizards right now are 19 and 26. They're 7 games below 500. A game and a half out of the play-in. So we'll see.
I would tell you this too, Sim. They're probably going to run this year. Because I've heard reports that Kyle Kuzma doesn't want to stay in Washington. Mm-hmm. The only thing is, though, the asking prices right now for players is ridiculous.
Yeah, inflation.
I don't know if you looked a little bit. The
inflation.
I can't believe there's an NBA inflation.
Talk to the president about that. Inflation.
Don't get me in trouble with some of the people here. Because if I share my opinions, anyways. No, but it's crazy, Sim. Because I mean, you got guys like you got the Pistons telling people that they want 2 unprotected first-round picks for both Bogdanovich. And then I've seen the Spurs talk about the same thing with the kid, the Jakob Hurtle kid. Like the asking price for these players right now are crazy. Because Sam, I think Kyle Kuzma really does fit the bill for the Knicks. Like he's a 6'8", scorer, plays defense,
6'10",
NBA championship.
Yeah, he's like 6'9", 6'10".
Kyle Kuzma is one of my whenever he becomes a free agent, Sim, I want the Knicks to go get that guy. But I mean, right now, Sim, I'm not even kidding. Actually, for Kyle Kuzma, you probably have to give up 3 first-round picks. That's probably the beginning starting price. But Hey, Sam, I'm gonna let you go, man.
Yeah.
Go do your thing, man.
No
Great
doubt,
show.
man.
I'm gonna keep watching.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Savvy, what's popping with you, man? How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling bad, man. I I shot you a text before the game, hoping that you know me speaking it into existence, would sway something. This was an important game to me because I knew where we were in the standings in relation to the Miami Heat, and you know where I stay at. So it's like,
Right. You know where I stay at. So now,
so
I'm in DC. I got to deal with. I mean, it's not that many Wizards fans here. It's more Knicks fans here than Wizards anyway, but still.
hey, listen, be that as it may, the crowd, the crowd density of Knicks fans was not enough for us in
And
that
you're right
game,
about that. You're
nor
right
was
about
it in
that.
this one, and that was in our home arena. Actually, I feel like a team that loses more games at home than it does on the road probably doesn't have a home field advantage anywhere, no matter how many fans are in the building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I digress. This was an important game to me because I didn't want to fall below the Heat in the standings. I feel like the Heat are the kind of team that this time of year they'll get they'll sort out whatever issues they had in the first half of the season, and then they're just gone. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. They're
Like,
getting hot. They're 25 and 21 on the season right now. They've won
yeah,
7 of their last 10 games. And they're definitely getting hot.
and they know how to raise their floor.
Mm-hmm.
The New York Knicks don't know how to raise their floor.
I agree. Not yet.
The New
Not
York
yet.
Knicks, right? The New York Knicks are the kind of team that will like bounce up and down between their floor and their ceiling constantly, and it's just like we can beat anybody on a given night, except for some teams. I feel like I would take for granted that we're not as good as them yet, but we'll lose to anybody as well. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like even playing the Pistons, I feel like, there's no team that I can say that, we are better than this team. We should win every time, which makes me upset because I feel like early on in this season, that's what I saw. I feel like, you know what? There's just certain things that we're not going to do anymore. But I can't even fairly assess that because look at the team in context. A bunch of our bench guys are not even in their rhythm. We had no mojo tonight at any point in time in the game, right? Obi Toppin, who was basically our other guy off of the bench who was making it happen, got hurt, didn't really have a chance to get back in rhythm yet, got back in and he's just not there yet. Like, he gonna need some more time to figure himself out. And even when he was at his best, he was not really imposing his will. He was able to hit some shots and score off the fast break and do the usual. Got a little bit better at staying in front of his opponent on defense. But a setback is a setback, and it sets the whole team back. Our whole starting five played pretty much awful tonight, even though Jalen Brunson scored good points. There was times where he didn't look like himself because there were some easy ones that he always gets that he just wasn't getting tonight either. And then Julius Randle had just like a really off night. Like, he was due for one.
Yeah, he had a bad
So,
night. Bad night. Scoring wise. Bad night scoring wise.
And some of the players like didn't even make the attempts that they needed to make. Like, I think Obi played like 14 minutes, made no attempts.
He took one attempt.
And then Mitchell Robinson
one attempt. Obi.
One attempt.
Obi, one attempt.
One attempt. And then Mitchell Robinson going down was no help for us at all. Jericho Sims really tried out there, and I appreciate that. But it was a mismatch for him to be trying to match up with KP. And then Deuce McBride, even though he forced a couple passes and got some stops, just as a point guard, he just doesn't have it, man. Like, there's times where I'm like, did you even scan the court one time to see what the opportunity was? There was a time where I think late third, maybe early fourth quarter, he was dribbling the ball up the court. No, actually, I think IQ dished him the ball, and then he had the ball near the elbow on the left-hand side. Obi was in the corner, had a gap between him and his defender, and Deuce drove the ball and took an ugly layup, missed it, and didn't even look in Obi's direction. Not that I feel like Obi was the hot hand and needed to get the ball, but I'm like, if he had an open look, you wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know. Josh, what's going on, man? And Carl, I'm gonna get to you shortly.
Salute. Sam, you can take the caller right now because I kind of want to talk about the Knicks offense. I know you disagree with that. I know we're going to talk about that at length. So if you want to get to the caller, I guess.
No, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say. I'll get to the caller. They're listening in.
Okay, so yeah, I just want to say, well, first of all, my earlier comments in regards to the Knicks assist and their lack of ball movement was not asking the Knicks to play like the Golden State Warriors. That's not exactly what I was asking them to do. But the Knicks have 14 assists tonight. 14 assists is not going to get it done on any night. I don't care who you're playing or the style of basketball you're playing. 14 assists is not going to get it done. The Knicks average on a season 22 assists. Right now, tonight they have 14. So that's just not going to get it done, period. The record across the league in the NBA for teams that have 14 or less assists is less than 200% win percentage, right? So that was my main comment in regards to the Knicks having 14 assists. Just got to be able to move the basketball. And I do agree they have to be able to knock down shots, which they didn't do. They shot horribly tonight. It's an all-around bad game. But that was my main thing about that comment about 14 assists. That's just not going to get it done on any night. I don't care what style of basketball that you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, you've also, assist and knocking down shots go hand in hand, right?
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they beat the Washington Wizards the other day and they had 15 assists. You know what I'm saying? Because why? Because they hit shots and they did other things to win the basketball game. You know, they won that game 112 to 108 and they had 15 assists. I understand what you're saying. You know, I have nothing against ball movement. I just, look at it. You got to look at your basketball team and what type of basketball team you have. And I'm starting to be more convinced that this is not the kind of team that's going to be moving the ball in that fashion. I just don't think I'm going to be that kind of team.
Well, I'm not asking them to move the ball at a Golden State Warriors pace, but I am asking them to get at least 20 assists per game. Right now, they average 22. Right? Well, they average 22 assists, right? But tonight they have 14. 14 is just not going to get it done on most nights.
Right.
That's my point. And at the same time, a lot of times when the Knicks had their winning streak, they were playing superb defense. Their defense has not been up to par. Tonight, their defense wasn't up to par at all.
No,
so it's not.
It wasn't.
I know earlier in the season you said that the Knicks are not the type of team to be able to move the basketball and play tight defense. Right now, they're not doing either. Right? They didn't do either tonight.
Well, they didn't do either tonight. I don't know if that means. I don't know if I would say right now. I would say they didn't do either tonight, but. If you look at some of the past, the games leading up to tonight, I think they've played pretty good defense. Tonight, their defense was terrible.
Well, obviously tonight, we can all agree on tonight. But since the new year, the Knicks have only they've been giving up over 105 points in all but two of the games, right? And now with those winning streaks, the Knicks were giving under 105, giving up under 105 points. So the defense hasn't been at that same level since Tibbs swapped over to that 9-man rotation since they started on that win streak.
No, see, I disagree. Since he swapped over to the 9-man rotation, he swapped over to the 9-man rotation way back after they lost to OKC or Dallas back in early December or November or late November, right?
It was December 3rd was the Dallas game. That was the first game he went to the 9-man rotation. At that point, obviously that was a horrible game, but following that game, the defense picked it up, right? But after the Knicks went on that winning streak in the midst of that thing, their defense hasn't been up to that same level right when he made that change. It has not been. The numbers show that.
I would disagree with that.
Can I interject for a second? I want to make
because if you would look at the last 15 games, and that's well past that time, if you look at the Knicks have the 11th best defense in the league. Hold on, if you let me pull that in. So hold up.
I just wanted to say that earlier I said that we lost to the Wizards. I was incorrect. Earlier. I said that we lost to I implied that we lost to the Wizards. I confused that game for the Raptors game. My bad. We beat the Wizards last time, and we lost to the Raptors. Sorry.
No. Okay, no. No, you're right. Wait a minute. Where am I? No, they've dropped to about since the last 15 games.
Since December 21st, that's the last 15 games.
So since the last 15 games, they've been at 116.1, which you're right. That's been like 21st in the league. And their offense has been 6th in the league. But then that goes back to it's tough. It's tough with this team. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think they can do it's hard for them to do both things at the same time well. I don't know if they're built that way. Because their offensive rating, if you're going to go by ratings, the offensive rating is 117.3, which is 6th in the league since that time.
Since the Dallas game?
No, since the last 15 games. We just
the Dallas game. The Dallas game is probably the 20th game, but they're around 116.1. So we're saying around the same thing. Again, this is not about lack of offense or lack of defense. I'm saying the Knicks sometimes since then have been lacking in both areas.
Right.
So it's not about one or the other.
But I think it is. What we look at is, you said when they're on the winning streak, their defense was here, but their offense was, they wasn't getting the assists, they wasn't moving the ball, but they were winning. And then now you look at the last 15 games, if you go by the last 15 games for the Knicks, and their offensive rating is 6th in the league, but their defensive rating over the last 15 is 21st in the league, and they're 7-8 in those 15 games.
So they have a losing record
in those 15 games, right? Where their offense is, highly rated, but their defense is not as good. They got to find a balance somewhere.
And I'm saying I think there is a balance for them to find. Not to be a super Golden State, moving the basketball super in pace, because their paces went down a lot. So I'm not asking them to play Golden State elite level offense and all that and abandon the ISO period. And I'm not asking them to be locked down defenders every single game. That's not what I'm asking them to do, Sam. I think there is a way for them to be able to balance it out. And the games that they do win, for the most part of the season, they've been able to find that balance, right? And just in general, period, I don't care what kind of defense you play, 14 assists is not going to get it done on most nights. And right now, the Knicks have 14 assists tonight, and their defense was poor. That is a recipe for disaster, no matter how you look at it. So, I just think it's not just about the lack of offense. Right now, I think their defense has really fallen off in the last, 15 games from what it was just before that, right when Tibbs went to that 9-man rotation. So that was just my only point with that. I think there is a way for this team to balance it out. And right now we're going through a little rut. And I think, and another thing you said in regards to the players that we have on the roster, this roster has been pretty much the same throughout the whole season. The only difference, if you look at it, as far as, to me, the turning point of the season, or the halfway point of the season so far, was that Dallas game. We went to the 9-man rotation. Pretty much the roster has been the same. The only difference was they cut the number of players in the rotation. So that was the only difference really in there. So I don't think it really what we are doing is dependent on the players that are here. We still have the same players that are here, and we're running, probably a little bit of a different system than we did in the first half of the season. So I don't think it's about the players or the players that. But I do,
because the players that are playing are different.
What about attrition?
Right, the players that are playing are different. So when you looked at who was playing in the beginning of the season, Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish, more offensive-minded players. You look at the players, once he cut to that 9-man rotation, Deuce McBride in the rotation, right? Isaiah Hartenstein was already in the rotation, but you have more defensive-minded guys in the rotation now than you did then, which, you have guys that aren't going to score the ball, like Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish, Derrick Rose can maybe score the ball a little bit more, so you might have been playing a different style of basketball. He chose to cut them out and take this 9-man rotation So now you say, all right, well, we got to play a little bit of a different style. So you're basing it on who you're playing. You know what I mean?
I just don't,
yeah, go ahead, Savvy. Then I'm gonna get to the caller.
man. I don't want to. I don't want to be that guy. I really don't want to be that guy. But how in the world are we still mentioning Evan Fournier as a possible option for scoring when he wasn't given that to us early in the season? He went to the bench. We brought him back off the bench, put him back in the games, and he still wasn't scoring. And how is it that that's possible, and yet we can find no sort of use whatsoever for a guy like Cam Reddish? I know you're sick of hearing that, Sim, because he's been put out of the rotation, but I'm like, when you look at what we did in the offseason, right? Mm-hmm. We added, we kept Rose, we got rid of Taj, and you could tell Taj be trying really hard during these games not to smile when they're beating us, right? but we added Hartenstein, okay? Derrick Rose is not producing for us and hasn't been in the rotation. Hartenstein started off okay and then kind of just vanished, right?
Faded. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Cam Reddish is the odd man out. For some like he must have said something about Tibbs' hairline or something, and then got himself completely out of even consideration to be in the game. All right. So what does that leave us with?
I mean,
not too much. We're leaning on our starters more. They were doing great at first, but after a while, you gotta have somebody to come in there and do something. IQ was kind of cooling off a little bit and started to kind of come back to being himself. Quentin Grimes got hurt, came back, started to ball a little bit, but then kind of chilled out and came back to earth. And then you got Obi Toppin, who cooled all the way off, got injured, and hasn't been able to even get back in rhythm yet. And even when he's in rhythm, like I said earlier, he can't do too much. We are depending on 5 guys, really. We're really depending on 5 guys, maybe 6 guys, to do everything for this team. It's not going to happen like that, bro.
Yeah,
not in a good way.
I just don't think that he is. I don't think he likes Evan Fournier's defense, and he wants to go with a more defensive-minded group. And with Cam Reddish, I guess maybe it's just his style of play. I don't know, or whatever's going on business-wise. You know what I mean? He's not playing. In my mind, those 3 guys in my mind, not even on the team,
not even on the roster.
Yeah,
right.
They're not.
But they are
play.
though, Sam.
I mean, they are.
But they are.
But he's not. He's not using Cam for sure. I mean, that was made clear when he went with Evan Fournier.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of being broken down in a rainstorm on the side of the road, right? And you have a tool that can reach that part that is broken that you need to fix, but you don't like using it because of whatever reason. So you know what? I'm gonna just hope that a tow truck comes or something like that. Somebody pull over and help me. Like, we're looking for other teams. We're looking for trades. We're looking for free agents. We want Kyle Kuzma because he's hooping all over us. I'm like, man, if we don't exhaust all options, what are we really doing here?
But my question would be, has he exhausted those options? Because when the Knicks were playing Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish, et cetera, they weren't winning ball games. When they went to the 9-man rotation, that's when they started to win ball games.
And now we're not.
You said now we're not? Now we're not?
Now we're not winning as many.
We've lost 2 in a row.
Sam, my point is, like, the thing is, you keep bringing this up about when we took Cam Reddish out and Evan Fournier's been out, but specifically Cam Reddish. When we took him out and we went to the 9-man rotation, we started winning, right? So if we started winning, why do we need to add more depth to the bench when the 9-man rotation was working? So why even add more to the bench at that point?
Just because you started winning doesn't mean you don't need more. What it's saying is he wasn't helping to win. And so why play him? If he doesn't feel like he was helping to win, why play him? We lost 2 in a row. We had just won 3 in a row. I mean, we're 7-4 in the last 11 games?
I'm being rhetorical here. I'm trying to go back at your point in regards to, I don't think the reason why we were winning is in spite of Cam Reddish or taking him out. What I'm saying, hold on, let me finish. What I'm saying is, if we were winning, despite having a 9-man rotation, why do we need to add anything else to the bench, right? Because you think that eventually that's not going to last. Savvy is saying that right now the Knicks lost 2 games in a row, and we're not doing as well as we did when we first went to the 9-man rotation. So we probably need to put Cam Reddish back in. Add something in there, get something going to try to spark the team up a little bit. And so players are not playing these immense amount of minutes. So you think that you think that adding someone to help out the bench and to help out the rotation is going to help us down the road.
Mm-hmm.
What Savvy is saying is by playing Cam Reddish and preventing guys from playing these major minutes is going to do the same thing. And I'm saying I don't think there's a major difference in what we perceive the team to be moving forward and what problems that we foresee coming. That's all I'm saying.
And what I'm saying is maybe Cam Reddish isn't the answer. Isn't the one. You know what I'm saying? Like you can have a screwdriver and say, I need that screwdriver, but if the head of the screwdriver is stripped, it may not work for you.
I agree with you. Again, I'm not lobbying for Cam Reddish here.
So maybe what I'm saying is maybe Tom Thibodeau's like, he's not the one, so I'm not putting him out there. I want somebody else.
I feel you, but guess what happens then, Sim? Then you lean more on the rest of your toolkit, and now you're stripping them too.
I mean, I agree, but the rest of my toolkit may be able to get it done until I get something else. Until I go to AutoZone and get a new screwdriver.
I just feel like this, right? With a 9-man rotation, the best case scenario is that we would have been able to beat teams through grit, effort, and consistency. The grit and the effort and the consistency could not last over time the way that we were riding them guys, especially being that even if they had played well, every team in the league done seen so much of these guys' minutes. They done game plan for every single thing that we do well.
I mean,
and it will be different tonight. It will be different if we played a good game and lost. But the way that we looked in the games was ugly, bro.
Yeah.
I just feel like.
But my thing is, I can guarantee you right now, 100%, if you played Evan Fournier and Cam Reddish, there's going to be games that look just like tonight.
Absolutely.
That happens every single season. There's going to be games that look exactly like tonight.
And when we had those games without them, so it's not necessarily their fault.
I never said it was their fault.
Yeah,
I'm just saying when he cut down the rotation, that's when the Knicks started winning. They may go to another team and excel and fit in perfectly. Maybe it's not here. Because maybe it's not the style that Tom Thibodeau wants or expects from them, and the group that he has on the floor fits that style of play, and that's the reason why they started to win. Maybe it's easier for him to manage the rotation, whatever. But
I have a question.
I mean,
my thing is just because Tom Thibodeau is comfortable with it doesn't mean I as a fan necessarily have to agree with it. I'm going to critique it. But that's the reason why we're having this conversation. Just because Tibbs, and I get what Tibbs wants to do, I get it, and I'm not completely throwing that out the window. Obviously, it's his team and what he wants to do. But just because there's some things I don't agree with Tom Thibodeau right now. The minutes is out of control. And I think that is a huge concern. I think some of the things with the play style is out of control. I don't think that's going to last. Just like, you think we need to add somebody to the bench. I still think we need to find that middle ground and improve our offense and still get back to that same defense we were playing. I think there's a way for us to get there.
Yeah. I mean, people, are, mad with the minutes and things like that. I just don't think people could say Evan Fournier and Cam Reddish. I don't think that they're going to get it done and change anything.
I have a question.
And I don't feel like, I don't feel like you put somebody out there just, you can put someone out there because I just got to give him 5 minutes, and then that substitution really, really hurts you bad. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think if you have a style of play and you have people that fit that style of play, you go with them and you talk to you say, I need another guy because these guys ain't going to get it and I'm not going to play them. I think that's how you set your standards of what you expect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, me as a coach, plenty of times I've said I'm only playing 5 people tonight because these people ain't working, and I'm not going to reward them for not working. And I'm not saying Cam and Evan Fournier ain't working, but that's how I set my standard of who's going to be able to get on the floor and perform for me. You know what I'm saying? We talk about setting a culture and setting a standard. This is part of the way that you do it, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And saying these are the type of players that I want out here on my floor. You know what I mean? I just think that's part of the way that you set the standard. I'm not mad about it. I know, there's a lot of people. Do I want there to be some other people there? Because do I believe that, guys are going to get tired? Yes. But I also believe you gotta have your standard. You gotta say, this is what I expect from my guys. This is how I expect them to defend. This is how I expect them to play. And if there's something, we don't know what they talk about in the locker rooms or whatever, you know what I mean? Because we're not there. But if there's something that I keep talking about with this guy about this and it's not getting done, so I'm not going to play it. Whatever it is, I feel like every coach has to set their standard the way that with their expectations. You know what I mean? And that's part of the reason why I think those guys ain't playing like that, because whatever.
You should at least send them down to the G League to get their confidence up.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying?
you're not saying
especially
that.
not Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier been in the league too long.
Okay, all right. Fournier. No, I'm talking more about guys like Cam and like other guys that's out the rotation really. So D Rose and Evan Fournier don't gotta go to the G League, but let Obi Toppin play some games in the G League. Okay, let Cam Reddish play some games in the G League. Get their confidence up, and if nothing else, you send a message to light a fire up under them, like, yo, you're an NBA player. Get some fire, get some passion in your body. Okay.
I would die. I would die laughing if I seen Evan Fournier go to the G League.
Be mean to him a little bit.
That'd be crazy. Anyway, let me get to this phone call.
Sometimes you gotta show somebody that they just ain't it, bro.
Yeah, let me get to this phone call. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Oh my God.
How y'all doing? It's Zahim from Brooklyn. I called the other night.
Zahim, what's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
I'm all right. I'm just laughing at y'all. I'm just enjoying the conversation.
We having a good time, man.
Yeah, I just think the problem, like you said, you're a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So my problem with our team is like, yes, we know we need to make some trades. We don't have a bench right now, whatever people want to call it. I just think the problem is coaching, and I feel like it's template coaching. Like, our offense is so predictable. Like, it's the same thing over and over and over. Like, people just dribbling the ball. Like, I never see the Knicks. Like, I watch every team. I'm watching OKC right now. They play well together. They don't have no superstar or nothing like that. I see back doors. I see plays. I don't see anything from our team. They just dribble the ball, set a screen all the time. And the problem I feel with Obi, I feel like his confidence is just going because he only plays like 7 minutes a game. Like, this is your 8th overall pick. He doesn't even play. And I feel like the guys are gassed. Like today, like Randall just looked tired today. Everybody looked tired, but Brunson, even that he played kind of bad. I feel like, I brought him here to be a point guard. Yes, he can score, but it's like it's no balls movement. It's just everything's just one-on-one. I just don't like it. I always said I think Tibbs. Well, I've always said I feel like he's not the coach for us anyway. I always said he needed an assistant, like an offensive assistant with him, because I just feel like the game has, like it just like grew away from him. Like he's outdated. Like he's outdated now. I think it's just time, even that we're winning, it's just not enough. Like the guys is like, I don't know. I don't see nothing but the same thing every game. I feel like he's running them to the ground.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. You can put Obi out there if you want to. The Knicks gonna lose. If you think you're gonna play Obi a whole lot more minutes, I'm sorry. Obi's. I like him. I like his excitement. I like his energy. I mean, Obi's not that guy, in my opinion.
I'm saying, like, sometimes, in my opinion too, I feel like he needs to play with more fire. Like if I'm a person on the bench and I know I'm not really playing that much, like you got to go out there and play hard and show his coach that you can play.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem with this coach is like it's always the same thing. It's just only plan A. It's like it's never a plan B or C. You get what I'm saying? It's always it has to be that one way that's gonna work. Like he's gonna make sure there's never no adjustments. Like if you watch our last couple games, game against the Raptors, you had Mitch out there. Of course, Mitch is our best shot blocker. You put him on Pascal. Pascal attack, went by him, kick out. You know, it's just like Tibbs is like it's only one way.
But
You don't know no other way.
But I mean, you know, who else was you putting on Pascal? Was you putting
I don't
Obi
know.
on
I'm
him?
saying,
I mean, that's the questions I always want to ask because people always say that. People always say that he doesn't make adjustments, but then when I ask, well, what was you gonna do? Like, who would you put? Was you putting Obi on Pascal?
Oh hell no, you're not putting Obi. No, I'm just saying, at least like do something, elbow of something. It's just always like you letting, you know.
I mean, the only other thing that I could see, the only other adjustment that I would see would be to do some zone, and I've been on that for the past couple of years. I would like to see Tom Thibodeau play zone.
Oh yeah, we
Right.
play zone.
You know what I'm saying? You know, mix it up a little bit with zone. He's not gonna do it. I know he ain't gonna do it because, like you said, he does kind of have that. You know, back in the day, it was zone. That's garbage. I'm playing man. We're playing man.
Yeah.
But the NBA's changed, right? They allow zone, and I would like to see Tom Thibodeau use some zone with this team because that could help them rest a little bit on the defensive side. You don't want them like sleeping on defense, but it can help them, especially if you're shortening the rotation. It can help them a little bit on the defensive side to get a little bit more rest on the court because they're in that zone. It can give the opposing team a different look. So that's an adjustment that I would like to see right there.
And you can pressure out of it.
You can pressure out of it. You can trap out of it. You know what I'm saying? You know, different things that you can do out of it. That's an adjustment I would love to see.
And it makes it easier to attack.
I know we're not going to see that.
No, we're never gonna see that.
Tom Thibodeau is not going zone.
Like the rumors is like, okay, you traded Cam, get Reggie Bullock back. Why? We don't need Reggie Bullock. We don't need Reggie Bullock.
Oh my God.
Maybe that's a player Tibbs wants, right? That's what everyone's saying,
Yeah.
right? That's his guy.
Should have had kept him the first time around.
He didn't play in the depth. He didn't do anything in the playoffs. He couldn't even get a bucket on Trae Young. Like, we don't need him. Reggie Bullock.
He is another body to defend, though.
He could defend. He could defend still. He could defend. You know,
Can guard 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, you know. Hey,
why don't we trade to get Kristaps back? We can trade to get Tim Hardaway Jr. back.
I am. Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Okay, you joking. I was about to say, you're joking. Okay, I see you being. See, I was about to say, I don't want KP. Don't even bring his name up.
Hey, yo, Trey Bird, come back to the Knicks, man. We got a contract for you.
All right, so question, like, and y'all own opinion.
my bad.
What do you think they should do? Like, I know this is not going to happen. I wish they can do it, but I know it's never going to happen because we never get anything. I said if I was them, I would call the Suns because I know it's never going to happen. Remember I said it. I would call the Suns for Devin Booker because I see no future there for them. I like Ayton's going to get traded, and they're going to have a 38-year-old man there. I would just try to go get Devin Booker.
I don't know, man. I read somewhere that because I think Fred VanVleet's contract is maybe up this season, and maybe Chris Paul's is up. I don't know, but you know, people are looking and saying Fred VanVleet could fit very nicely in Phoenix, and you know, if you swap Fred VanVleet for Chris Paul, that gives them a different outlook altogether.
We'll need to add some money to that though, but I can see that happening.
Yeah, that gives them a different outlook altogether, man. Like that could be nice over there if you did that. So I don't know.
What do y'all want to see? Like, I want to know y'all opinion. Like,
I would love Devin Booker here.
I would love Devin Booker here.
Devin Booker would be
love Devin Booker.
That would be blockbuster.
Say that
again.
They
need to make a move.
I didn't know Devin Booker was even on the table.
Go ahead.
No, he's not.
Go ahead. He's just
not.
bringing him up.
I'm just bringing him up because, like, I'm looking at what's going on over there. Ayton wants out. Would you ask a 37-year-old man to carry you? Devin Booker's gonna look at him like, okay, he's turning 38 next year. It's like this man is 25.
I mean, listen.
I love RJ, but like, you put RJ in there to get him. I'm sorry, you got.
If there was a way to get Devin Booker, and if you had to include RJ, I would include him all day long. I ain't gonna lie. It's Devin Booker. Devin Booker is a monster. You know what I'm saying? That takes you that
Yeah,
takes your
they
team
need
to
a
a
guy
whole nother
like
level.
I would have rather had Donovan.
You know, but
Who?
you know, but that's going to be, you know, that's I mean, that's definitely a long shot right there unless something crazy happens over there. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know as far as a star type player. I don't know what the Knicks' plans are right now and how they looking to go forward. But hey, my man, I want to hear Tom Thibodeau's post game. All right, I appreciate your time, man, and thank you for your patience as well. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate that.
Thank you
Oh,
for
no,
the
that's
call,
all.
brother.
I
I'm sorry for
understand.
interrupting you.
All right, peace, bro.
Thank
Yeah, let's listen to Tom Thibodeau, ladies and gentlemen, and see what kind of questions reporters got for Mr. Thibodeau.
From the horse's mouth.
Yeah, let's hear it from the horse's mouth. It's Tom Thibodeau.
Anything on Mitchell with the hand?
Sprain, and he'll be examined tomorrow.
Is that MRI?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't
much-
spoken to him.
Sorry, him not being around. How much did that impact what you guys were able to do?
You know, you miss who he is, obviously, but that's part of it. You know, but we just overall we didn't play well.
It seemed like right from the start, I think it was 14-3 a couple of minutes in, and never able to kind of close it.
Yeah, we were playing from behind all night. That hurt us. They came out. They were making shots early, and they got a lot of confidence from that. And I thought they played really well. And you know, we missed shots and we couldn't get our defense untracked.
Feels like the offense has been really isolation heavy. I think the previous 8 games you guys are averaging only 18 assists. You only had 14 tonight.
I wouldn't say it's isolation heavy because I've gone through it. We're not making shots right now, so that's probably the biggest thing. You know, you look at it. I think we're scoring a lot in the paint, and we're getting to the line a lot. So one of the things about getting to the line a lot is you're not going to have high volume assists. Now I do think we need more easy baskets, and so that part I think we can do better. But you know, right now we got to work our way through this.
You mentioned before the game just how tough everybody in the league is.
Yep.
This team, obviously different than a week ago with Beal and
Yep.
Morris back.
Yeah, I think, and that's the challenge too. Every night, we just played them. We won there, so they're going to come in with an edge. Then they get Beal back, and they get Morris back. So it's a different team, but there's also urgency on their part, and they came out very kind. They made shots, and so some were contested, some weren't. And the thing is, sometimes you have to adjust in the game too. If a guy makes 2 threes, you got to make sure, okay, I got to be there on his catch, and he's got to put it down. You can't give airspace and rhythm to a player. And so I thought, our ball pressure could have been better. Our closeouts could have been harder. But overall, I don't think it was, from a lack of effort. I just think we didn't play well. We missed shots, and it may have taken away from our defensive effort. But overall, we just didn't play well.
Tom, the lack of production you're getting from the bench besides quickly, how is it putting too much pressure on?
No, I actually thought they gave us life. Like tonight, I like the way they're now we got a little disjointed because of the Mitch thing, and we'll get that figured out. But I like the way they played. I thought Deuce and RJ and Quick and Isaiah and Obi played well in their stretch. They actually got the thing a lot closer, and so I think they're starting to find their rhythm. So we need them to play well, and they will.
With Mitchell out, is there kind of a thought that you went to Julius at the 5 with RJ at the 4? I assume you were just searching.
Yeah, we were downsizing because we were behind, and I think that you're trying to speed the game up, trying to get more shooting onto the floor, but it also probably hurt us rebounding wise, and but you want to have that as part of what you're doing, and I think we can do better with that as well. But it's just the next guy. I love the depth that we have at center. Isaiah and Jericho. Julius can play the 5. So we got 3 guys that are more than capable.
With rebounding in mind as the lens, do you think to Jericho is like play style more similar to Mitchell, and maybe he could see a star?
Yeah, I want to think and see more. Think it through in terms of what's best for both groups and what'll make us function best. And both guys have gone back and forth, so we'll get a chance to look at it deeper and then make a decision.
Thanks.
You guys didn't shoot it great from beyond the arc. Did you like the looks in general?
Yeah, I don't. It's we're just in this, like, we're not playing with the speed that we need to play with, and the easy baskets, the volume of threes has gone down, so that's a concern. And we got to get that back going. And I think a lot of that can come from our defense too, or if we can create more turnovers, get in the open floor, create more misses, get into the open floor.
Do you attribute the lack of easy baskets mostly to just not getting the turnovers and getting out, or is it?
But like right now, it doesn't take much. Like we just got to work our way through it. It's like, so you're going to hit different things during the course of a season. Get back, be mentally tough. Like, it's not going our way right now. Now we got to make it go our way. That's bounce back tomorrow. Like, study, get ready, and move forward.
7 for 12 from 3 in that first quarter. What was the difficulty in picking those guys up from the 3-point line tonight?
Yeah, it was tough. I feel like we weren't giving them open shots. They made a lot of tough shots, a lot of contests. I feel like the effort was there. You kind of got to tip the hat off. They kind of made almost every shot they threw up in that first quarter. So it's tough. You kind of got to play catch up for the whole game, really.
Then you guys lose Mitch. How much of a loss is that? Would you describe how not having him impacted tonight?
Yeah, it kind of just shows how valuable he is on the offensive board and the defensive board. He's a big guy. He's a big force down there. Takes up a lot of space, and he kind of bails us out a lot of the times with his rebounding and just being a force down there. And kind of it really showed after he went out the game, really.
And like you mentioned, you guys are playing from behind the entire game. Offensively, how did that affect you guys? It looked like you guys struggled to find the rhythm that we usually see from this team.
Yeah, it was different. Kind of really our first time this year playing from that much behind so early in the game like that. So it was kind of hard for everybody just to find their rhythm. People were struggling. People were going to miss shots in that game like that. But we still got to just keep fighting and keep chipping away. But it was kind of their night, and kind of got to tip the hat off to them, really.
This is the 10th game that Jalen Brunson has had 30-plus. What kind of impact has he continued to make for this team?
Yeah, just an all-star case, an all-star player. Really, you got to tip his hat every time he goes out there. He plays hard, extremely hard, offensively, defensively. He's been a leader for us since day one, since he got here. So he's just been a joy to really be a teammate out there on the court.
So what you're telling me is Knicks fans should go out and vote for JB amongst others for All-Star?
Yeah, if they haven't, they tripping. They need to get on and download the NBA app and vote 3 times a day for my man, because he's definitely an All-Star.
Anybody else? Julius
Randle's All-Star too. Like, he's been dominant since the whole season. Those two have been my locks, All-Stars for sure, no question.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Thibodeau, Quentin Grimes. Question.
Okay.
Just before we get to that question, what do we do? Who starts, Jericho Sims or Isaiah Hartenstein?
Jericho Sims.
No question.
Jericho Sims. I hope it's Jericho Sims. I have no confidence in Hartenstein's defense.
How long have I been talking about Hartenstein not being there, Sim?
Yeah.
It's been months.
No doubt.
Well, I think more importantly, I'm not going to downplay. I mean, obviously the discrepancy with Hartenstein is obvious, right? But I think this is more about Jericho Sims and his ability to defend the pick and roll. His pick and roll defense, I think he's the best pick and roll big that we have, because he can hedge pick and rolls. He is very smart with getting back to his guy, and he has leaping ability to go up and block shots. So that's why I want to see Jericho Sims in that starting lineup. And I think offensively, he's obviously not going to take jump shots and everything, but I think you still got the lob threat. Just like Mitch was a lob threat, you got that lob threat with Jericho Sims. I think he's a really underrated screener right? Which I think is a little bit of a better screener than Mitchell Robinson as well. So I definitely want to see Jericho Sims in that starting lineup. Sim, I do want to go back to Tom Thibodeau. I know the reporter, which I think was a great question. He asked, he mentioned something about the isolation and teams want a little bit more isolation, and Tibbs kind of downplayed that and went back to what you said in regards to the Knicks not being able to make shots. The Knicks have been top 10 in isolation plays since Tom Thibodeau's been here, right? This season, they're fifth in isolation plays, total isolation plays throughout the season. And the teams before them, you got Brooklyn, you got Philly, you got the Lakers, and you got Dallas, right? So the Knicks do run a lot of isolation. And it's just a part of Tibbs' DNA to kind of downplay that. But since he's been here, the Knicks has been tops in the league in isolation play. So
I mean, they clearly play a lot of isolation basketball. That's
well, those first,
my argument is not that they don't. My argument is not that they don't. My argument is that the best way for them to play this particular team with these particular players? That's what my argument is. I don't know the answer either way because we haven't seen much of them playing the other style. But each team, every team. What? And I'm not saying you, Joshua, but every team.
Oh wow!
is going to play different, right? Every team's going to play different. Every team's going to have their own style, and people, because I see people in the chat all the time say, "Well, this team does it like that. That team does it like that. How come you can't do this? How come you can't do that?" Because that team doesn't do it like somebody else either. Every team is going to have their own style, and that team has to find their style of play and what works for them. And there's going to be different styles of play across the league.
I mean, I just think it's more nuanced than that. I get it. You bring up the win-loss record and everything like that.
I'm not even saying.
But that's one of your biggest.
I mean, it is. I'm just saying. Every team has their style of play. You got to figure out what your style of play is and what works for your team.
I get it, but Tom Thibodeau also mentioned in the interview later on that they got to get back to moving themselves and moving the basketball. He did mention that as well, so it's something that he wants to do, right? I think there is a place in the middle for us to meet on this particular subject. I think there is a way for the Knicks to move the basketball and still play tough on defense. We've seen them do it this season. Maybe not. Mm-hmm. Consistently over a stretch of games. I know your thing is about consistency, but there is a way for them to do that. I think Thibodeau wants them to strive to do that. So we're going to disagree on this, but I think there is a way for us to meet in the middle on that particular subject about them. And I listen, I have no problem with isolation basketball. I think there is times where you need to do it during the game, right? There's times where Julius Randle's hot and no one's stopping him, and you're going to give him the basketball to isolate and to dominate whatever player he's going against. I'm for that. Please do that. But when he's not on, and when Jalen Brunson's dominating the basketball, and he's having an off night, which is very, very rare, I'd like to see the Knicks get back to moving the basketball, getting other players involved. That's how you get Obi flowing. Obi needs that type of style of basketball. Isolation is not going to work for Obi, in my opinion. Not him doing it, but as far as other people setting him up. So, we'll see. We'll see how it probably plays out.
Yeah. Go ahead, Savvy. You want to say something?
I feel like Tibbs is being, well, first of all, he's lying. He's just lying. Okay? Second of all, he's the kind of guy that's like real protective of his guys outwardly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they get in private, you know what I'm saying? He's probably turning them a new one or something like that. I'm not gonna speculate too much and assume about the man's character. But you're not gonna tell me I love the depth we have with the five. Isaiah Hartenstein, Jericho's like Isaiah Hartenstein didn't belong in that sentence. And then they asked him, do you think that the lack of offensive production off the bench is putting too much pressure on the starters? And he was like, oh no, I thought they gave us life. No, IQ gave us life.
Yeah, IQ,
but he's not the bench.
Right.
He's one guy. That is one guy. I feel like people saw that press conference that Doc Rivers did the year that Ben Simmons decided to just vanish and was like, you know what? I'm going to say positive things about my team to the media every time. And then just say what I had to say in private. Because there's no way that he was watching the same game that we were watching tonight. That bothers me a lot.
Well, it doesn't bother me that a coach is going to protect his players.
But you can do that without lying. Without
You know,
lying.
I think what you're saying. I mean, but I don't have a problem with a coach protecting his players. You know what I'm saying? When he said when he said about the ISO, that's more protecting himself, in my opinion, than his players, because it's his schemes, right? It's his schemes, his plays, or whatever it is. So I think that's more protecting himself than protecting the players.
In that regard, yes.
Right.
But
It's
he told
politics,
a lot
Abby.
of lies. He told a lot of lies in that press conference.
Just like Democrats and Republicans. It's all politics, Abby. That's all it is.
Listen. I've been the guy kind of defending him for a while. I'm not saying that the guy is not competent enough for this team, because this team is not competent enough for him in some regards either in terms of roster wise. But I'm so good on so much of what this team is made up of. I'm just so good on that. Like I'm straight. We can start to break some of this up and change it up. Like, as far as I'm concerned, because the way that things are going now, we might hit some spots where we catch a spark, but over the long term, I don't think that this way of doing things is going to get us where we got to go. No matter who we add.
Savvy, I agree with you 100%. But the thing is, I always go back to where I had the Knicks before the season. I didn't have them doing as good as they're doing now, and that's what I keep going back to. Right? I think we all, to an extent, can understand that Tibbs probably won't be the coach that lead us to the promised land. Right? But I think they brought him in for a specific reason, and it's not to win now. Everyone says to win now. I don't think that's the mandate for Tibbs right now. I think his job is to, like Sim said, build the culture, establish a culture, and that's just what the Knicks are doing right now.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I'm okay with it. It's just that fans are impatient and they want the team to do better, even though they're doing relatively good right now. So I'm willing to be patient with that part of it. Right? It is frustrating to watch the Knicks win some games, play a style of basketball, and then lose some games, reverting back to the same old ways. But I think in the long run, like seasons of the long run, I think this team would be better off for it, particularly the young players who are currently getting time and getting some of these minutes and being in these situations.
Well, this game is an anomaly as well, because it was our entire starting five having an off night. You know what I'm saying? And then Mitch got hurt, so it was like we just kind of lost our size matchup in that regard.
Yeah. It's going to be funny when Tibbs is gone, because one of these days he's going to be gone. He's not going to be here. And that coach better come in and do well. You know what I'm saying? Because you really never know what it is that you have until it's gone. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe he was doing okay. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it was that you didn't have enough tools out there on the bench. Any guy that from the time that I've been doing this show, every single coach that has come into the Knicks from day one, there's been criticism, and that's going to happen. No, Popovich can come to this team. There's going to be criticism from day one. Bottom line, you know what I'm saying? That's what it is. That's part of the job. I see people say Tibbs is a terrible coach and this and that. To me, that's just wrong. Is he the guy that's going to get you to the championship? Maybe not. But I agree with Josh. He's setting a culture right now. He's setting some standards, and he's making it. When you come to the New York Knicks, you have expectations of a work ethic, a style of play. There's some expectations when you come to this team now, and if you don't come and fit into those set of expectations, then you're not going to play and you'll be gone. You know what I'm saying?
And that's something the Knicks have not had in years.
Exactly.
Years. Structure, infrastructure, from the top down, from the front office. I might even go up to ownership. From the front office all the way down to the coaching staff, infrastructure.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the biggest reasons. If you talk about the previous issues with the Knicks, coaching, lack of player development, scouting, drafting, the Knicks have an infrastructure now. And I understand fans want to win. I want to win just as bad as everybody else, if not more. But I do understand that it is a process and it takes time for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let a couple games here and there that we lose, or a season in which we finish 500, change the way my outlook on the team. I'm very comfortable with the long-term plans, or the long-term vision for this particular team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt
very
about it,
comfortable
man.
with it.
No doubt about it.
What do you make of our situation at at the general management level, because I'm just so puzzled. I'm sorry, Josh. Tell me what. Because I thought you were talking about the culture building that Tom Thibodeau was doing.
Yeah, it's with Tom Thibodeau, but I think it also comes from the front office. Like, I think because we have a front office in place, the structure is there, the infrastructure is there with some of the decisions that were made, and people around the league and contemporaries within the sport are now seeing that the Knicks are a competent organization from the front office level down. Right before, we didn't have that. There was always some drama going on with the front office and terrible decisions that were made. The Knicks have a solid, to me, a solid foundation that they can be able to build on now, not just with the assets they have, but with what they have already built with some of the players that they have here. And that starts from the front office level down to the coach, right? And that's what I'm talking about in regards to the front office.
Yeah.
Like, I think Leon Rose and the company has done a really good job here.
Yeah.
I would like them to bring a star player. There's still more for them to do, but I think they've done a great job.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job here. My only gripe about the front office is I feel like they're kind of conservative. They're not gonna take swings, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's my only thing. That's their style. I feel like the conservative.
Let me counter that one time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was a swing. Not necessarily a swing by addition, but a swing by subtraction to trade away our draft pick, draft nobody, and then rock with what we had going forward, and then sign guys like Hartenstein. And then who at the time I was like, oh, okay, like this might be a good thing. I'm not gonna act like I never liked the signing. I'm not gonna act like, I thought it was a horrible idea not to draft somebody because I wanted to see what we had going forward. But in hindsight, I had a benefit of hindsight. It looks like we don't concern ourselves with the development of players who we believe do not have at least something that they can bring to the table that we can lean on consistently. And I don't think that's good for culture necessarily. I think a guy like, well, I'm not gonna keep on bringing up Cam Reddish, but I'm like, damn, like you trade away a pick and a player who wasn't playing cool to get him. All right, good move. Now he's out the rotation. That's a coaching decision. But it's like 1 second we're developing players and building them and trying to get them along, and the next second we're giving up on them when they have potential, and then leaning on guys who have less potential and probably are on their way out of here. Like,
I mean, but we're still developing players. We're still developing players. That's just one guy. We're still developing players.
There's divergent
Quentin Grimes is in your starting lineup. He's the same age as Cam Reddish. Emmanuel Quickly was just in the starting lineup and gets major minutes. He's the same age as Cam Reddish. RJ Barrett is the same age as Cam Reddish. Mitchell Robinson is the same age as Cam Reddish.
Point taken, Sim. But like I just said, if the young guy does not have at least a thing or two that we can depend on a consistent basis, we're giving up on dudes, but then we're not giving up on dudes who are tired, old, and done.
Like
who? We gave up on Fournier. We gave up on Fournier.
Like, who are you talking about right now? Who are you talking about that's tired old? So who with the Knicks group right now that's playing, who is tired, old, and done with the Knicks right now? Who is playing?
Just a few games ago, Evan Fournier played several minutes and got hosed every single minute. And we waited to lose a massive lead before we did anything about it. I do not think the coaching, I don't think the coach and the GMs are on the same page at all times. I think they agree on some things, and on other things they have different views. And I think that is tearing us apart in two separate directions. Because we don't know who we want to be. We don't know who we want to be yet.
I think we do. I mean, look at the number of the guys who are playing. Nobody is over 30. Nobody's over 28. Of the guys who are playing on our team, Nobody's over 28 years old. Randall's the oldest.
That's a cultural observation, but it's not a stylistic one. I'm talking about stylistically. We don't know what we're trying to be.
I mean, but stylistically, as far as play would be Tom Thibodeau. But if you're talking about the front office, I think they know, like they're building with they're developing young players, right? They're trying to build a young core. I mean, Jalen Brunson's 26 years old, right? Like they're trying to bring in guys that are young that can build and grow together. That's what I think they're trying to do. And what I see from who's playing.
Okay. Oh,
Savvy, real quick.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Josh, 1 second, please. Just because I want to hear what you're going to say about this. But if you're a front office and you decide to not make a move and to roll with who you got, right? This is a coaching decision, but I feel like the conversation needs to be had like, look, we decided to roll with who we got. In that scenario, we cannot just leave guys wasting away and then discard them altogether if we don't have a specific move in mind, a course of action in mind to do with those players. Then put them out there and see if they can do something.
How do you know they don't have a course of action?
What's the course of action?
No, I'm saying, how do you know they don't have one? You saying if there is none, but how do you know they don't have one?
Okay, so and from the off season to December, what changes so drastically that you couldn't have had the vision to make that move in that prior off season? I don't think that much, bro.
But just because it doesn't happen in the offseason when you want it to happen does not mean it's necessarily not going to happen. And I go back to the previous offseason when the Knicks signed all those veterans. And last season we didn't do as well. And everyone was like, play the kids. And that whole narrative was going. And I said from back then that the Knicks, they know what they're doing. They just because those veterans were playing last season, a lot of the fan base saw that these players were going to be here forever and that you're going to take the development away from some of these young players. But they only signed them to 1-2 year deals that they got rid of, a la Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks, and now you start to see Quentin Grimes and a lot of these young players start to get minutes. The Knicks knew what they were doing when they signed those 1 to 2 year contracts, right? My only gripe was I wouldn't have gave Fournier the extra year. He would be going at the end of this year, but they're still going to find a way to move him. So there is, I can see what the Knicks are doing, right? I do want them to talk to us more to verbalize that. But from an outsider's perspective, if I had to guess, based on what's happening right now and what's transpired over the last 2 years, they are developing a path for these young players to get major minutes. That's why you're seeing Quickly play more minutes than he's played in his career. That's why you're seeing Grimes now the starting lineup. Yeah, but it's not about producing or not. It's not about producing. It's about developing.
It is about producing.
You said it's who producing?
It is about producing.
It's who producing?
It is Quentin and IQ.
Quentin Grimes isn't producing?
No. I said they are producing.
Oh.
That's why they're getting minutes. But when a young player does not produce over a certain period of time, we discard them. But then when we need offense, we don't look to that young player with potential.
But maybe.
What about McBride?
Right.
We're not discarding him. He's still playing and he's not producing. So what are you talking about?
He's not producing offensively.
He produces not offensively, no, but on defense, he still has something.
Right. So what does that tell you? So what does that tell you? What does that tell you though, Savvy?
That we pick and choose what we want to do with these young players based on them having at least one thing to hang on.
Of course. Yeah, you pick and choose. That's what it's about. You pick and choose.
But that's not development.
Some players got to develop on their own too. It is development though, because you can't just throw a player out there. Oh, you're not. You don't give us what we need, so we're gonna throw you out there. No, you gotta give the team. Okay. You gotta give the coach what the coach needs.
Okay.
Right. Question. So when you have that kind of player, that development can happen elsewhere. Don't have to happen on the court.
Okay. Good. I'm glad you said that. Do you think Cam is in practices being involved in practices?
We don't know that.
I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening there. And that could be all business too.
Right.
It could be all business. It could be like, we're gonna move you. We're trying to, we're gonna move you. You got an injury history, and it could be his people. He's got an injury history. Don't play him until he's moved.
I think we need to slash off half of this roster. I think we need to slash off a good half of this roster. We need to take a step back and figure out what direction we want to go. We need to figure out how we want to play basketball.
So what do you mean? What direction? What direction? What do you mean? What direction? As far as what?
In terms of basketball philosophy, for one, I don't think we have a unified vision of basketball philosophy on this in this organization. I
disagree. I don't
disagree.
think because they went.
What basketball philosophy do we have, sir?
If you look at the guys that Tibbs said, I want you to go get. When everyone, when including myself, when the front office was trading down and doing all this stuff, then they got Quentin Grimes and all these players were passed over. Tibbs told them, I want you to go get that guy because I like the way he plays defense and shoots the ball. When they got Deuce, I want you to go get that guy.
Quickly.
Like that shows you that they're okay. This is the kind of guy you want. You want a tough defender that can shoot the ball, guys that got a lot of heart and work ethic. That's what you want on this basketball team, right? Building that culture, building those type of expectations and work ethic. You know what I mean?
Just because there's a few players that don't fit that mold and they're currently not playing does not mean that the organization is not unified from that regard.
Yeah.
Like Evan Fournier is a player that, serviceable, right? Can knock down some threes, played a lot in the first year, but now he's not playing in favor of for someone like Quentin Grimes, who is playing doing some of those same things that Sim said. Cam Reddish.
Can we update our commentary on these players? When was the last time that man hit a three?
Who?
Evan Fournier.
That's why he's not playing.
Why he's not playing.
That's why he's not playing.
Why did you just say he could knock down a three? It's been a long time.
Right. And he's not playing. He is not playing because he has not been hitting those same threes.
And he doesn't play defense.
Played last week.
7 minutes, Savvy. Come on. 7
Long
minutes
enough to blow a lead. Long enough to blow. Crucial.
So that was Fournier's fault.
Crucial. No. It's not just how many minutes you play. It's when you play. It's when you play as well. Come on now. And if we have a lead and we are losing it, you're going to leave them in there to get holes over and over again? I don't think so.
Game.
And
one game. So you're basing your opinion based on Tom Thibodeau's wrong decision in one game. In one game.
No,
that's you basing your whole opinion on the entire.
It speaks to a trend of lack of certainty. What we got to do here.
Name another time then. Name one more time. You said Fournier that a week ago. Name one more time. You said a trend. So that's more than one. So name another time.
Cam Reddish.
What about
him?
He's in, then he's out.
No, he was in, and now he was in one time and then gone.
Then he's back in, and then he was out. He was in last year. Then he was out. Then we came in this year, and he was in because of training camp. And now he's out again.
But what does that tell you?
But that we are not sure about what we're doing here with some of these players.
No, it means to me it says you're not sure about Cam Reddish.
Sim, I think Savvy trolling. I think Savvy's trolling right now.
Something because Savvy, every player is not going to work out. You're going to bring players in, and they may not work out. They may not fit your system, style, or whatever it is. And you say, you know what, this isn't working. Cam Reddish is one of those guys with the Knicks. It didn't work in Atlanta either.
I'm not going to bring up two players no more. Cam Reddish and Evan Fournier. I'm not talking about those guys no more. Okay? You're not going to trick me into doing it. I'm not doing it no more. All I'm going to say is it appears that we have made some mistakes.
Of course. Okay.
And we need to take a step back. And sometimes they don't like to admit the mistakes, so they come on TV and lie to the American people.
But I don't think I don't think that this front office is like that. Where I mean, they may not come on and talk to you, but I don't feel like, okay, I made a mistake. I'm going to act like we didn't make a mistake. I think this front office has been able to, you know what, this guy ain't working. We're going to pivot and move and do something different and not be afraid to cut their losses. And to be honest with you, that first round pick that they traded for Cam Reddish had so many protections on it, they wasn't going to get it anyway.
Right.
That was basically Kevin Knox for Cam Reddish. And so,
and Cam Reddish might be traded again. So now you're talking about Kevin Knox for
whatever
in the midst of Cam Reddish, you can whatever that is, whatever that turns into.
Right. I think the whole
so
thing.
It's not like,
I think the whole thing with Cam Reddish was, I'm pretty sure they knew and heard the rumors about Cam Reddish or whatever the narrative is about Cam Reddish. Well, you know what? Let's see if we get him. If we get him into this type of culture and system, maybe we can help him reach his potential. And maybe they're looking at saying it's not happening. So we're going to move on from it.
It's the equivalent of a fielder's choice in baseball. You sacrifice yourself at first base just so you can get a runner to second. That's all it is.
For
those who understand the reference. So for those who understand the reference.
My whole thing with the front office is I feel like they've done a good job. I think they're kind of conservative. You said earlier that you thought that they did take a swing, when they, when they traded the pick, and I felt like they started the swing and then they pulled back. Because part of the reason that they did all of that and to collect draft picks was for Donovan Mitchell.
And they were showing up to the games, laughing in the front row and everything. And then they didn't pull the trigger.
That was for Brunson.
They were playing each other.
Right. So that was partly for Brunson. It wasn't just for Mitchell. They got Brunson, right?
Okay. No, yeah, we did. Because he was a free agent.
But they got him.
A free agent who wasn't going to get paid by his team. Not the same as not pulling the trigger on the trade because you're afraid to trade Quentin Grimes to get Donovan Mitchell. We don't know what we want to do here.
They didn't want to trade RJ either, remember?
Yes, they did. They offered them in the package.
Yeah, but ultimately, they didn't do it.
Because of how the negotiations were going. Not because he was untradeable.
I don't know. I mean, I think the front office has done a pretty good job, besides being a little bit too conservative, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do later on. They've been able to stock. They've been able to stock the cupboard with draft picks. Right?
If I had to grade them, I would give them a C.
Huh? What you said? What?
If I had to grade them thus far on what they've gotten, I would give them a C, maybe a C plus. Okay.
Barely passing.
Because.
Okay, I'm just saying. I think they did some good drafting. All right. Besides, people are going to complain about Obi, but Emmanuel quickly, Quentin Grimes, right? Two rotation guys, two guys that can be starters on your team. You know what I'm saying? They've been able to draft, right? Everybody wants Jericho Sims to play more. He looks like one day he's going to be a rotation player for your team. You know what I mean? They've been able to draft rotation guys with low draft picks.
And our salary cap. Our record is better than what our salary cap says it should be, too.
Yep, exactly.
And then we took his minutes away and gave him the iHeart, and iHeart didn't work out, and he's just not getting his minutes back. If he was doing well, why even do that? Let iHeart fight for his minutes in the first place. Don't come in with a new look and think that he's just you're gonna plug him in right away.
Well, just like I mentioned to you last season, when you had people like Alec Burks and Kemba Walker that was getting all those minutes, taking them away from Grimes or taking them away from McBride, it didn't stop their development now, right? They're developing now, right? So sometimes that's how it works in the NBA. Your veteran guys are gonna get minutes, they're gonna get the benefit of the doubt, or they're gonna get the right of way until your young players officially earn more minutes. Who's to say Jericho Sims is never gonna play? That's the whole thing with Knicks fans. Oh, play the kids, play the kids. They think that's what's happening right now. I know, but I'm saying it's the narrative, and it feeds into that. Well, why not just do this? Why not just do that? Thinking that the way it is now is how it is always going to be. And that's exactly what happened last year. Yeah. And now we're saying that paid off, right? Having those veterans there to eat those bullets and take some of those bullets away from those young kids are now helping them now on the floor. So what's to say that Jericho Sims next season or the season after that won't step into that role? iHeart is only signed for a 2-year contract. He might be going in this offseason.
Right. He could be going at the trade deadline. You never know.
Right. He could be going right. That's exactly. So just be patient with that. Let that process. I get it. They're a little bit too conservative, but I mean, it's not I see a barely passing grade when they're doing better than expected.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just want to ask some of the people. I just want to ask some of the people out, in the chat or whoever, and please put your hands, or I'll put it up on the screen. If we have such terrible coaching and such a terrible front office, why are we 25-21 now? Why are we fighting for the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference? In the top half of the NBA. If we have such a terrible coach and such a terrible front office, I mean, are you saying that our players are doing it despite them? Is that what you're saying? I mean, that don't add up to me. You got to be doing something right. Now, could it fall? It could. It could crumble. But at the point right now, we're 4 games, whatever it is, 4 games above 500, battling for that 6th spot in the Eastern Conference.
Do you remember?
Y'all better take this. Y'all better take this with a grain of salt, because guess what? If it does crumble, guess who'll be the first person to say it? Because I predicted the Knicks to be worse than what they are right now. So
Me too.
If I'm saying that this has to mean something, right? Remember, I'm the bad guy that everybody hates because I'm so pessimistic, but I'm a little bit optimistic about this team, right? So
I see all kinds of stuff. Weak schedule.
Everybody don't hate you, Fulio. All right, relax.
Weak schedule.
Okay.
The whole NBA's average. That's why. I don't understand that. I don't understand that argument. I mean, you're in the league. If everyone is one area, you're better than them, then you're better than them. I don't understand that argument.
Sim, do you remember when I was like overjoyed at the flow of the offense early on in this season? When we were in the group chat, I was like, oh, this is beautiful. We're playing beautiful basketball. We're playing together. We're doing all of this. And I'm like, 25-21 is kind of good, bro. Like, all right,
25-21 is
that's 4 games over 500.
That is 6th in the Eastern Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we are up out of here. I appreciate your time. Peace. We done.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Nick.